What is going on, deck builders? I'm your friendly neighborhood host Alex, and welcome to episode number 13 of Super Budget Commander. Dominaria has given us a fiery new Voltron commander, Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. Today I'm going to show you how to put together a brutal Keeper of the Flame deck that won't break the bank. And you know the drill, a super budget commander deck has a maximum price of $50. The vast majority of cards in this deck list can be purchased for less than $1 each. And don't be fooled by the low price tag. A super budget commander deck has a clear, consistent strategy and is built to win. So without further ado, let's get started. Allow me to introduce you to the Keeper of the Flame, the master of elementals himself, Valduk. Valduk has an ability that's eerily reminiscent of Kemba Ka Regent, the main difference being his tokens are more powerful, hasty, and disappear at the end of your turn. This deck emphasizes speed and aggression above all else. It is the epitome of a red deck. My goal with this deck is to get the most out of every single token that we create, and make every single combat phase a living nightmare for our opponents. In terms of mana rocks, there's nothing particularly special. However, we want to emphasize low-costed rocks that can help give us a significant advantage in the early game. The longer it takes us to set up, the more difficult it becomes to be aggressive. Seething Song is an underrated spell here. If you want to get off to an explosive start, this is exactly how you do it. Speaking of underrated cards, Sword of the Animist and Explorer Scope help us ramp and give us elemental tokens at the same time. Generator Servant is about as close as they come to a mana dork in mono red, and we'll take it. 2 colorless mana and a haste enabler? Oh yeah. Mono Red severely lacks card draw. What they have instead are loot effects, which don't really draw us cards, they replace old cards in our hand, hopefully with new and better cards. It's not an ideal situation, but anything that helps us keep new cards coming into our hand and elemental tokens flowing is fine by me. We also have the benefit of auras like Dragon Mantle, which help us beef up Valduk and draw a couple cards at the same time. Outpost Siege is another great card here. Cons gives us an extra card to play with at the beginning of every turn, and Dragons rewards us with extra damage every time one of our creatures dies. Pretty awesome. And of course we have a Skull Clamp. Anytime you have a deck with a lot of 1 toughness creatures in it, Skull Clamp is just automatic. Speaking of automatic includes, Mask of Memory and Rose Gloves are perfect. They reward us with tokens and help us draw cards at the same time. Culling Dais is another really unique card here. It helps us get a lot of extra mileage out of our elementals. Another area where mono red tends to really struggle is removal. We have a few decent options like Reverberate, Chaos Warp, or Biforce, but for the most part, we have to rely on being absurdly aggressive to get the job done. And of course, it just wouldn't be a complete deck tech without obnoxious cards like Shivan Harvest or Price of Progress, which I can see a lot of people getting very salty about. I focused this build on low-cost, efficient auras. Auras like Messenger Speed or Hammerhand help Valduk make an immediate impact, because waiting for a whole turn to start swinging is for chumps. Low-costed auras not only help us buff up Valduk, they help us generate a massive elemental army in no time flat. It's also important to have auras like Crown of Flames, Fiery Mantle, or Gitu Fire Breathing that we can return to our hand in case of Valduk being removed. That way we can use them again and not lose them. It's important to have a variety of auras that can help us regenerate Valduk, power him up to unbelievable heights, make him unblockable, and just in general make him extremely obnoxious to deal with. A handy little artifact that most people out there won't see coming is Scarab of the Unseen. Having the ability to return all the auras attached to Valduk to your hand and keep them safe for a later date is priceless. Speaking of unpredictable cards, Bludgeon Brawl is awesome. We can turn our little Scarab and all of our mana rocks into equipment. That is so cool, especially with a commander like Valduk. And of course, seeing as our entire goal is to be absurdly aggressive, we can't forget about extra turn spells like Fury of the Horde, and of course, damage doublers like Dictate of the Twin Gods. Now, it's no secret that Valduk can make a ton of elemental tokens in a hurry. That's why we have spells like Impact Tremors that help us get a lot of damage out of them, or Spawning Pit and Tooth and Claw that help us turn our elemental tokens into more tokens. And here's the pure ridiculousness that is Elemental Mastery. Attaching this to a powered up Valduk is downright out of control. And there's Strionic Resonator, so we can copy Valduk's ability and make double tokens. Yay! And also Throne of the God Pharaoh, which enables us to drain everybody at the table for ludicrous amounts of life. And we brought some backup in the form of Tillinolli Summoner, Grenzo, and Hellrider, who can help us exile portions of our opponent's libraries, make more elemental tokens, or just deal a ton of extra damage. The first place to start if you want to take this deck to a whole nother level are mana doublers like Extraplanar Lens or Gauntlet of Power. Be sure to use snow-covered mountains with these though. Yes, it's a little more expensive, but it's worth it. That way when you tap for double mana, only you get to tap, none of your opponents do. And if you really want to devastate people with your token army, Perforos, Ashnod's Altar, and Phyrexian Altar are perfect. You can never go wrong with Sword of Fire and Ice or Sword of Feast and Famine. They're very powerful and they're used widely in a variety of commander decks for good reason. There's also classics like Darksteel Plate, Umizawa's Jite, or Champion's Helm that can help make Valduk basically unkillable and very difficult to deal with. I'd also strongly consider investing in some of the best removal options Red has to offer like Fork, Fiery Confluence, or Reiterate. You can't go wrong with these spells. Next time on Super Budget Commander. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want more content just like this, smash that like button. And if you're new around here, welcome to the Deck Builder Society, and don't forget to subscribe. And you know what's up. Stay classy, Deck Builders. I'll see you next time.